I subscribed to Twice's Nayeon, Jeongyeon, Momo, Sana, Jihyo, Mina, Dahyun, Chaeyoung, and Tzu유's bubbles for a month. After subscribing to all 9 bubbles of Twice, what's it like getting text messages from them every single day? And if you only had to choose one Twice member to subscribe to, whose bubble should you choose? As the long-awaited part 2 after the NMIXX bubble challenge, I wanted to see what it's like to subscribe to one of the biggest groups in K-pop and to see how their bubbles compare to their little sister group. And by the end of this video, you'll know which Twice member's bubble is right for you. Firstly, everyone, I want to thank you all so much for the astronomical response with the NMIXX bubble video. Nearly 200,000 views and 8,000 likes later, it is one of the best performing videos in the history of my entire channel. So truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing so much love and appreciation to NMIXX and their respective bubbles. I don't deserve the love, NMIXX does. But from one fave to the next, we're moving on from one of JYP's newest groups to one of their longest standing, and hands down one of their most successful groups, Twice. If you clicked on this video, you probably already know what Bubble is. And if you do, click on this little timestamp right here to skip this little explanation. Bubble is a mobile app where K-pop idols can directly message their fans and vice versa, just like SMS texting. The catch is, it's more like of a one-way chat app rather than a direct line of communication with your bias, like if you had each other's numbers. You can subscribe to a K-pop idol's bubble for $3.99 per idol per month, but you can't see any other fans' messages in the chat except for the idols and your own. Meaning, if you subscribe to Nayeon's bubble, the only messages visible to you are Nayeon's and your own. No one else's messages can be seen. That only the idol can see if they choose to open them. And yes, there's a very small possibility that your idol could see your message, and an even smaller possibility they could even reply back to you. Understandably, of course, if an idol gets thousands of messages per day, it only makes sense to give them the freedom to pick and choose which messages they read and respond to. From October 1st to October 31st, I kept count of all bubble messages each Twice member sends per day and logged it into a Google Sheet. I also took note of any trends, quirks, and personal patterns of each member's bubble experience. In short, what's it like, or how does it feel getting messages from each member? I had 3 ground rules for this challenge. Rule number 1, a bubble message includes all texts, photos, and videos sent by the artist. That means if Sana sends 2 texts, 3 selfies, and 1 video, each counts as a message, totaling out to 6 messages altogether. Rule number 2, all bubble messages are tracked throughout the day on my time, which is 5:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Any messages that come in between 10:01 p.m. and 5:29 a.m. will be counted for the following day. Reason why? I'm a full-time working adult. Making content like this isn't my full-time job yet, and as much as I would love and how it would be a dream to just watch the JYP Bubble app on my phone all day, I can't do that yet, so we're gonna be tracking these stuff on my time. And lastly, rule number 3, to conduct all of my counts, I log into Bubble once at 9:50 p.m. to tally up all the message numbers at the same time. All of Twice's Bubble messages aren't to be opened and read until 9:50 p.m. in the evening. This is to prevent any errors in tallying the message counts like what happened in the NMIXX Bubble Challenge. If you know, you know. It sadly dampens my experience with Bubble, but it's a necessary precaution. Some disclaimers here, please keep in mind that this little social experiment isn't scientific at all, but rather it's just a fun video and a fun challenge where I get to show my support for my ultimate girl group of all time. So remember that my aim here is to help you make the most educated decision in which Twice member's bubble is right for you. Secondly, everyone, reminder that they are humans with extremely busy and complicated lives. As idols, they may not have the time or energy to log into Bubble and use it daily. So please don't let the number of messages sent or not sent discourage you from subscribing or not. It's ultimately up to the subscriber, but for the sake of the challenge, it's something that I have to be transparent about. Thirdly, I am going to be using the results from the NMIXX bubble video as sort of a light comparison throughout the entirety of this video. Not to show that one group is better than the other, or this group's bubble is better than this group's bubble, but now because we have a tangible baseline to help you better visualize Twice's bubble experience. There's a stigma out there where if you bring another group to the conversation, it's automatically considered as hating or saying that my faves are better than yours. No, the numbers and analyses I'm going to present to you all are not meant as hate at all, but rather to provide you with the most objective intel as I can, both as a fellow ones and as someone who's using his own hard-earned cash for this platform that Twice is kindly providing to us. And lastly, everyone, I actually wasn't going to cover Twice for part 2 of the Bubble Challenge series. I was actually going to subscribe to ITZY's bubbles. However, with Leah going on hiatus from activities and her bubble being suspended for the time being, I felt it wasn't appropriate to cover ITZY's bubble at this time. This challenge is all about the right timing, and even if eventually I'm going to cover all of my favorite JYP groups someday, we'll be saving ITZY for another time. And with all of those disclaimers out of the way, let's see what it's like to subscribe to Twice's bubbles for a whole month. As always, to begin the challenge, we had to subscribe to all of the Twice members' bubbles first. Since I was already subscribed to Jihyo, because why wouldn't you be subscribed to God? Sorry, I sneezed. Because she is my bias. I only had to purchase the 8-ticket option to get the Nayeon, Jeongyeon, Momo, Sana, Mina, Dahyun, Chaeyoung, and Tzuyu bubbles. If you want to subscribe to all of them at the same time, you can purchase the 9-ticket option for a discounted $28.99 per month. I say discounted, but subscribing to all 9 Twice members at the same time is actually the most expensive bubble subscription in JYP Bubble. Now, with the experience under my belt with NMIXX's bubbles, and knowing the sheer power that Twice holds, I instinctively braced for impact for this challenge. I was so used to the 100 to 200 plus messages per day from only 6 members. Imagine what utter chaos 9 members could offer. On day 1, I got my first few messages. 2 pings from Dahyun. Then I get my next 3 from God Jihyo herself. Like Connie and John from the Attack on Titan season finale, I thought, so it begins. This is how I go out. After surviving the rumbling that NMIXX put me through, my mind couldn't even fathom what was awaiting for me with Twice. I clenched my phone for the rest of the day until... nothing. That's it for day 1? Okay, well, let's fast forward to day 2 then. I had a better feeling for day 2 because my phone was just rumbling with 200 plus messages and the red notification icon throughout the entire afternoon. 9:50 rolls around, open the JYP Bubble app, only to reveal only 3 messages from Dahyun and 7 from Momo. Okay, what's going on here? It turns out the other rumblings were from NMIXX, who I still had all 6 bubble subscriptions for. I mean, in hindsight, I probably should have muted NMIXX before the challenge started. Okay, I guess I missed one more disclaimer here, and it's that Twice uses bubble very differently and much less frequently than NMIXX does. Okay, I'ma just say it. If you're someone whose deciding factor to subscribing to a K-pop idol's bubble is message frequency per day, I am so sorry, but Twice is not the group to subscribe to. If you're looking for someone who messages every single day, that rules out all of the members. It's so rare for Twice to message every day, and when they do, it is not a lot. So if you're watching this after the NMIXX Bubble Challenge, you'll remember that practically all 6 members use Bubble daily and use Bubble as a way to have conversations, funny interactions, TMI updates, the whole 9 yards of what you'd expect a service like Bubble to offer. However, with Twice, I noticed that only 2 to 5 of the 9 members use Bubble on any given day throughout October. And when Twice did use Bubble, most of them would struggle to hit the double-digit mark. 9 times out of 10, this was my work day. Alright, 9:50 p.m., time to Twice. Dahyun 6, Nayeon 2. I love my job. As a huge blanket TLDR, Twice primarily uses Bubble as a TMI updater, or a today I did this platform. But while there's no shortage of personality and quirks behind each member's bubble, Twice did not make it easy for me to read between the lines and see what true value lies behind the $3.99 subscription. So because of this, instead of hinging so much weight on the number of messages per day, I'm going to be primarily focusing on the quality of their messages. How do their messages make me feel as the bubble subscriber? But for me to answer that, let's get into each member individually, starting with... Nayeon is one of the only Twice members that I felt had actual real conversations with once, instead of giving occasional updates. With her bubble, there's actual push and pull with her messages as you would feel when you're talking with your friends. But before I explain that, let's talk numbers. Throughout all of October, Nayeon sent a total of 158 messages. That's roughly 5 messages per day. However, Nayeon isn't the member I'm alluding to when I say quote-unquote the one who uses bubble almost every day. We'll get to her later. Out of the 31 days of the challenge, Nayeon didn't use bubble for 17 of them. That's almost half the month. On the days Nayeon does send messages, she could send anywhere from a single emoji to as high as 41 messages. So Nayeon's message count is relatively good, all things considered. Now with a pullback pushback of Nayeon's bubble, what do I mean here? Well, Nayeon normally opens up conversations with the average small talk. How are you today? Did you eat? What'd you do today? The usual. But afterwards, all of her messages are so full of life and personality. For example, she'd open up the conversation with something like, "Hey, pick a food for dinner for me." And then there'd be like a 3-minute silence, probably her reading through all the replies that she got, and then she'd finally reply with, No, I can't have that," or "If I eat that, I can't digest it," or "Why are you guys all saying the same food?" Like, see what I mean? And to add even more pluses onto Nayeon, she is one of the few TWICE members that utilize Bubble Live. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when a K-pop idol goes live on Bubble. You'll know an idol is using Bubble Live with this notification right here. Kinda like they're calling you. Now with these, I will admit, are one of my first mistakes of this challenge. Because throughout all of October, I wasn't able to tune into a single TWICE Bubble Live. The reason being, the dang time difference between Korea and California. Understandably, when TWICE goes live on Bubble, it's in KST when I'm in PST. And K-pop idols normally go live when they're at their dorms or practice rooms after all their schedules, which is normally at late PM hours for them, meaning early AM commute hours for me. I couldn't tune into Bubble Live because I am going to work at that time. Thankfully, some kind brave onces would upload the VODs of these Bubble Lives on X/Twitter or YouTube afterwards. I sadly can't comment on what fun insanity ensues in these, but if you like tuning into your biases lives, Nayeon's might be one to consider. Nayeon's Bubble experience is honestly very authentic. You get a sense she's actually talking to you and that she's reading Once's messages, as it should be when subscribing to a service like Bubble. As an added plus, Nayeon is not shy about sending endless streams of selfies and pictures of TWICE's adventures. In fact, on most days, Nayeon would actually send more pictures than messages. Nayeon is one of the more frequent Bubble users in TWICE. She'll give you good content, good conversations, and a good time. However, because she missed over half the month of the Bubble challenge, I sadly can't give her full marks. But with that said, who should subscribe to Nayeon's Bubble? It goes without being said, but if you're a Nayeon stan, you won't be disappointed at all. If you've been watching TWICE's content for a long time, you're already familiar with all their personalities. Nayeon's texting style is similar to her personality, where she's full of life and playfulness. Even if daily messages are your make or break factor, Nayeon actually scales a little higher than the rest of the girls. Now, if you're a pet lover, I highly recommend Jeongyeon's Bubble. Why? Well, Jeongyeon's Bubble is almost dedicated to her pets alone, because pics of her doggos and cat dominate Jeongyeon's Bubble. As a former dog father myself, I love seeing pictures and videos of a K-pop idol's doggos, so this is just a lot more points for me. Especially with moments like this, where Jeongyeon's dogs just like tear up all of her belongings, like good times. Good times. But her Bubble isn't all just her pets though. Jeongyeon's texting style is very sincere and warm. Like one message she sent after one of TWICE's concerts, she said, "We're still a little bit clumsy. It was a dizzy performance, but ones who stayed with us until the end is really nice. Thank you, and I'm proud of you." Additionally, during the challenge, Jeongyeon actually broke her phone, so she had to get Chaeyoung and Tzuyu to get on their bubbles to tell Onces to please just wait for her because she can't log into Bubble yet. Like that. That's friendship right there. That's friendship. And now here is where the applause ends for Jeongyeon's Bubble. Out of the 31 days of the challenge, Jeongyeon missed 25 of them. That's 80% of the challenge she missed out on. Jeongyeon sent a total of only 80 messages flat throughout October. That means she averages about 2.5 messages per day. Now, I'll grant TWICE this. I conducted the Bubble social experiment when TWICE is still knees deep in their Ready to Be world tour. In fact, the challenge began when they were still in the Philippines stop of their tour. But that's still a lot of days to be absent from Bubble. And with the Ready to Be tour still going into February 2024, postponing this challenge to a different month wouldn't have made a difference at all. So for my onces who value daily messages, I'm sorry, but Jeongyeon is not your girl either. Again, a kind reminder that message infrequency shouldn't be looked at as a bad thing per se. After all, most K-pop idols probably have better things to do with their time by aespa and don't really prioritize their Bubble as the part of their daily routine. Now, Jeongyeon's Bubble, who is it for? Well, pet lovers. If you're a lover of dogs or cats, Jeongyeon's got you covered. She will send you the cutest pictures of her doggos and you will find yourself petting the screen with your finger. Jeongyeon is also very real and very comedic with her Bubble when she uses it. Like one time she sent a picture of the temperature incorrectly displaying -1000 degrees Celsius and then following up with, "Oh, I've never seen a temperature like this before." Even on her birthday, she sent 8 pictures and videos of her and the Happy Jeongyeon Day banners, and it was just really nice to see. However, because Jeongyeon missed out on a significant portion of the challenge, I can't really recommend her bubble to those of you looking for daily messages. After all, if you're paying that much per month, I don't think that 2.5 messages per day is gonna cut it.
아니야 진짜 느려. 그거 무슨 소리야?
Now with the current streak of missed days for this challenge, will Momo be our Lord and Savior? In words of Bang Chan, unfortunately, no. No, she isn't. Like Jeongyeon, Momo doesn't use Bubble very often. She missed 22 out of the 31 days, sending only 59 messages within the month, averaging out to 1.9 messages per day. And she would send anywhere between 1 message to as much as 19. That's, not good. Momo is one of the members of TWICE that use Bubble as a "today I did this" platform. I'm in a good mood today. I made pork ring cabbage today. Messages like that. It wasn't until after the Bubble challenge was over, and yes, I did temporarily keep all 9 TWICE members' bubbles, where Momo actually started using Bubble a little bit more. It was her birthday in the early half of November, and she sent this screen-long size message thanking once for wishing her a happy birthday and doing good deeds on her birthday. I mean, you really don't see stuff like this on Bubble every day, so for a member that doesn't use Bubble all too often, this is great. Momo's messages of late do seem to be a bit longer than the average one-sentence liner Bubble message. Kind of like that one friend who doesn't talk a lot in person, but on text they have so much more to say. Momo also, and unsurprisingly, sends a lot of food pictures on Bubble too. But despite the nice food conversations, I can't really recommend Momo's Bubble. The best I can recommend to are those who are looking for a more general introduction to Bubble as a platform. While Momo's Bubble messages do have more substances than the average one-liner, it's simply not good enough to warrant a $3.99 monthly subscription as of now. And on top of that, her message frequency doesn't do her score any favors either. And with that, that is one Misamo member down. But speaking of Misamo,
사나 없이 사나 마나 샤샤샤 오빠야 언니야 사나 없이 뭔 사나.
okay, so for Sana, I'm actually really looking forward to. I'll get right to it. The way how Sana texts is just so captivating. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, think of that one best friend who hasn't texted you in a long time. Weeks, months, or even years. But when they do text you, you can feel their warm personality and intent radiating behind the screen, and it's like you picked up right where you left off. Like with Sana, like, oh my gosh, like when she logs into her bubble is overflowing with her personality. She would talk about and show cute/funny moments that happened during their tour, like the signs she's seen in the crowd to even replying directly to once's as well. One day she said, "Wow, I've heard of Marry Me Sana a lot, but I think Date Me Sana is a first." So cute! And then she would send an emoted message of what the sign actually looked like in text form like this, like... It's adorable! Before I get into the captivating nature of Sana's bubble, let's talk her numbers. Numbers-wise, Sana's bubble is actually almost the same as Jeongyeon's, and that includes the number of absences from bubble, where Sana matches Jeongyeon's with 25 out of 31 days missed. Sana's bubble message total, however, is 86, which averages to about 2.7 messages per day. However, this is where Sana's bubble diverges from the rest of the members. Firstly, even though Sana doesn't use bubble all too much, when she does, she messages much more for much longer than the other TWICE girls do. She would message as little as 1 message to 50 messages on any given day. To TWICE's bubble standards, this is actually really high, only to be beaten out by one other member, which we will get to shortly. Now, why are her messages so captivating? She prioritizes showing her magnetic personality more than anything else on her bubble. One day she messaged, and I quote, "Once, I hope you live your life well. On some days, I live roughly. When you do that, you don't want to accept all the burdensome things on a hard day. I'm proud of you once. I hope you all live well today and go through it day by day. When you look back, there will be days where you don't regret, and you'll be stepping up to what you do regret. Let's live hard and overcome the difficulties with us, so you always have to wear it together, right?" Like, imagine you had the worst day of your life, and you want nothing more than to just like plop in your bed. Then you open up your best friend Sana's messages and you see those words of encouragement and building you back up again. This is what's so captivating about Sana's bubble. She's bubbly and fun, yes, but she's also encouraging and very real. Summing up Sana's bubble, when she uses it, Sana's personality truly shines through. Onces know her as the bubbly, upbeat, cheerful, and playful member, but onces who have been with her for a while know that she has a deeper, more sincere side on top of her effervescence. Sana is also a Bubble Live user. However, Sana is one of the lesser frequent users of Bubble after missing almost the entire month. This may hinder her chances of being the member that you choose to ultimately subscribe to. So it's up to you whether if her absences from Bubble mean more than seeing her deeper, more truthful side.
나 지효는 눈이 튀어나올 것 같아. 렌즈가 튀어나올 것 같아. 렌즈가 너무
Jihyo. As I already had Jihyo's Bubble subscription prior to this challenge, her Bubble is actually easier for me to critique because I've had hers for longer. And even though Jihyo is my ultimate bias and in words of Aoi Todo, my ideal type of woman, I have to look at her Bubble from an objective point of view. And to start off this completely unbiased review, Jihyo sent a total of 88 messages in October, averaging about 2.8 messages per day. On any given day, she could send anywhere from 1 to 27 messages. However, Jihyo missed 23 out of the 31 days of the Bubble Challenge. I mean, if you watched her I Live Alone episodes with the life she lives away from Twice, I think she has way more important priorities than being on Bubble. In fact, it's a wonder how she's still able to have time to even use Bubble with the bustling lifestyle that she has. Jihyo's Bubble is honestly, and as unbiased as I can be, exactly what Bubble should be in terms of message quality. Sure, Jihyo isn't the most active Bubble user, but hers is like Nayeon's and Sana's Bubble, where there's a push and pull with messages, and you can tell she's reading responses from once and reacting to them in real time. You can get a sense of her leadership in her messages when she messages, "It's cold these days, take care of yourselves everyone." Of course she does the normal TMI updates like, "Oh, I got my nails done today," but she's actually super playful with onces as well. One day she was talking about the encore stages of Twice's world tour and sent something like this. "One once brought his cell phone during the encore and he gave me his phone to take during the encore. What if I don't give it back? What are you gonna do?" Her Bubble actually has a little bit more extra spice to it than the other Twice members. But besides the spice, there's also the savory and sweet as well. On Twice's 8th anniversary, Jihyo got really sentimental and heartfelt in Bubble. In my 20s, I'm so glad that Twice is here. I'm so proud. And thank you for remembering all the moments that I forgot about. I think there are so many memories that I can look back on even when I'm old, and I'm so glad it was even more fun. What should I do on the 9th anniversary? Like that one line saying thank you for remembering all the moments that I forgot about just tugged on the heartstrings a little bit more than the rest if you catch my drift. Overall, Jihyo's Bubble is great. Aside from her not using Bubble a lot, most likely due to her 110% all or nothing lifestyle, and her being the leader of one of the biggest girl groups of all time, her Bubble is honestly really fun. She's very playful, yet thought-provoking on special occasions. She's not one to use Bubble Live, but her personality and care for once radiates from her messages regardless. And at the end of the day, that's what really gives that extra quality to Bubble. If we remove the username from Bubble, can we still tell and feel their personality from behind the screen? Easier said than done, but definitely one to consider.
그러네, 생각보다 되게 되게 괜찮네요.
My dearest bias tracker Mina, I mean, I was hoping to stall this section long enough so I wouldn't have to come to it, but I'm sorry, I guess I can't really hide it, huh? I'll just say it outright. Mina's Bubble isn't worth subscribing to. Hey, Mina fans, put your penguin-sized pitchforks down. Let me present my case first. Now, getting the numbers out of the way, Mina has only sent 29 messages total throughout the duration of the whole challenge. That's 0.93 messages per day. It's not even a full message a day. And on any given day, she could send anywhere from 4 to 12 messages. But Mina sent so few messages, I could literally take out the JYP Bubble app, tap onto Mina's chat, and with 2 up swipes, I can reach the top of the conversation window. That's how little she uses it. Out of 31 days, Mina missed 27 of them. That's right, Mina only used Bubble for 4 days of the whole month. But like I said, we're focusing more on the quality of messages this time around. So how does Mina's messages make the user feel? And the answer and the truth is I don't know. Mina's bubble messages are nearly 50% small talk, 50% TMI update. One day she asked, how long should I keep my bangs? Then 3 hours later, she would ask whether I should eat cold noodles or curry for dinner. Then she ultimately decided on the noodles, but then logged off for the day right after saying thank you, only to be offline for 5 more days. I mean, Mina's bubble is honestly the hardest to critique because she uses the platform so little. Like, her messages aren't bad, but for those of you who are looking for more than a, oh, I did this today type of experience, I mean, I can't even really recommend Mina's bubble to Mina stans either because I didn't really get a lot of Mina to begin with. Like, I love Mina so much, but for the sake of the challenge, her bubble doesn't have a lot to show for itself. But look, I get it. Mina just may be one of those idols that just doesn't like using bubble. After all, it's a direct line of communication with the fans. That can be daunting to some, and considering what Mina's been through, I don't blame her for not using bubble at all. So with that, let's wrap hers up neatly. So for the pros of Mina's bubble, she'll message you eventually, and I guess since absence makes the heart grow fonder, when she does use bubble, it makes her time there all the more special. Think of when she logs into bubble like when you run into a super rare Pokemon in the wild. However, I am struggling to find the correct niche group of onces I could recommend Mina's bubble to. Mina stans, sure, but I don't think Mina's bubble truly encapsulates Mina's beautiful personality in the text she sends. And I don't know if Mina stans would be able to 100% enjoy her platform. New users to bubble, possibly, but again, Mina uses bubble so rarely, I feel that new users would probably forget that they're even subscribed to her. But if you're actually subscribed to her bubble right now, I would love to hear what you guys enjoy of it. So if you have Mina's bubble and you genuinely enjoy it, please let us all know in the comment section down below why.
하나, 둘. 하나, 둘. 하나, 둘.
No! No! Help me! Help me!
Whoa! What is this? Up in the sky! Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it actually is a bird. It's an eagle. It's the savior of the challenge. It's Kim Dahyun! With that poorly written bit out of the way, Dahyun is without a doubt the savior of Twice's bubble. The member that I've been alluding to this whole time, the one who uses bubble almost daily, is Dahyun. Dahyun is the single member of Twice who carries bubble on behalf of the group. She sent a total of 286 messages in all of October, which is a healthy 9.2 message average. Dahyun also has the best bubble attendance record of Twice by only missing out for 3 of the 31 days. But get this everyone, Dahyun's message frequency could range anywhere from 1 to 114 messages on any given day. Everything considered thus far, this is a true gold medal right here. But numbers isn't all what Dahyun excels at in bubble. Dahyun has it all. Her bubble is like if you took every single positive quality of the 8 members' bubbles and combined them all into one. TMI updates? She got them. Posting exclusive pre/post-concert selfies and behind-the-scenes pictures and videos? She got them. Bubble Live? She does them. And this kind of stuff you can expect nearly every single day. With Dahyun, you will always feel like it's genuine Dahyun typing on the other side. Like Nayeon and Sana, Dahyun opens up messages with once not just by jumping straight to the topic, but she says good morning or hope you work hard today. But you also get that signature Dahyun randomness we all associate her with. Like one day she sent a 2-second video of trees in a random street sign without any context. Or most notably, one of the message strings she's recently sent is just her spamming the H consonant and laughing for 2 minutes straight. Bubble is like Dahyun's little daily diary. As the most consistent Twice member in Bubble, you're nearly guaranteed a message or a Bubble Live from her, if nothing else. Like, I seriously have 0 complaints or criticisms for Dahyun's Bubble. Like, honestly, her Bubble is the go-to bubble if you want to subscribe to any of the 9. Dahyun will keep you entertained and will give you your money's worth. She messages nearly every day, but not to an overwhelming amount like a certain member of a certain mixed pop whale themed group that I love so much. Dahyun's messaging frequency is just enough to where you're getting an almost daily conversation, but not a sheer deluge of red notification bubbles. And lastly, she'll definitely keep you on your toes with her signature Dahyun randomness. Undoubtedly, the crown goes to Kim Dahyun herself.
시작! 그러니까 지금 뭐하냐? 뭐하는 거야? 뭐야?
Now, celebrating the sheer victory of Dahyun's bubble, we now descend back to the same territory as Mina's bubble with Chaeyoung. Chaeyoung actually strikes in more places than just our ship list, meaning that Chaeyoung's bubble shares the exact same criticisms as Mina's. Chaeyoung is second to Mina in terms of her using bubble the least. In October, she only sent a total of 48 messages. That's a 1.5 message per day average. She could send anywhere from 1 to 15 messages on any given day, but out of the entire month of October, she only used bubble for 6 days. Ha, better than Mina only using bubble for only 4 days, right? Right? Oh my goodness. In the first few days of the challenge, I thought that Chaeyoung was going to take the cake for the Twice member that uses bubble the least. I mean, after subscribing to the other 8 members of Twice aside from Jihyo, Chaeyoung didn't even touch bubble until October 11th. With numbers out of the way, Chaeyoung is very much more of a picture-focused bubble user. By that, I mean that she sends more pictures than she does actual messages. A lot of them are being behind-the-scenes pics and selfies that she's accumulated in the past few weeks or months. Understandably, as one of the most artsy and creative members of Twice, you'd probably expect to see more pictures than words. However, that doesn't discount Chaeyoung's text though. Chaeyoung's bubble messages are generally very surface level. The average TMI message here and there with the occasional song recommendation. She did do bubble live once for about half an hour, but this happened after the bubble challenge was over. In fact, her last message was telling once that Jeongyeon actually broke her phone and that she can't use bubble right now. Again, that's great friendship right there. Overall, Chaeyoung is a very much show don't tell type of bubble user. When she uses it, you're most likely going to receive selfies or pictures of the environment around her. However, she is in the same camp of Mina, where she uses bubble so infrequently that you might forget you're even subscribed to her in the first place. But here's one refreshing thing though, Chaeyoung actually acknowledges this fact in Bubble. Recently, JYP Bubble released a font writing feature, where if you pay another subscription fee, the bubble message an artist sends will be displayed in their handwriting. When this feature dropped, nearly all 9 Twice members were trying it out, with the exception of Tzuyu. Chaeyoung though messaged thanking once for subscribing to it, but then followed up by saying, and I quote, "I'm sorry I don't come to Bubble that often." It goes without saying that not all idols will prioritize Bubble as much as others, or find it overwhelming or anxiety-inducing. But you guys all know at this point that for the sake of this video and for the education of the K-pop community, it's another factor that I must objectively report on.
Chewy?
야,
How do you want me to say it?
어떻게 그 발음을 했으면 좋겠어요?
Chewy?
Tzuyu.
Chewy. Oh, how you say it's adorable.
Last but certainly not least is Tzuyu. Tzui's bubble falls in the same realm as Jihyo's, Sana's, and Jeongyeon's. With her numbers, Tzuyu sent a total of 88 messages in October, tying 3rd place overall with Jihyo. Out of the 31 days of October, she used Bubble for 11 of them. Tzuyu has a slight lead over Jihyo, however, since Jihyo only logged into Bubble for 8 days. Tzuyu can also send a message range of anywhere between 1 to 20 messages on any given day. Getting into the quality of her messages, Tzui's messages do tend to fall on the longer side like Momo's. So instead of short 1 to 2 sentence messages, you'll get more occasional longer messages that can take up 3 to 5 lines of text. Tzui's Bubble is a lot like Chaeyoung's as well, where she sends significantly more pictures if anything. And on top of that, her bubble is like Jeongyeon's as well because dog pictures, like this, like. So without exaggeration, if you take Momo's, Chaeyoung's, and Jeongyeon's bubbles and mash them all together, you get Tzui's. This may also be a given, but Tzuyu also sends bubble messages in Mandarin as well. Just like how Mina, Sana, and Momo occasionally send messages in Japanese. Tzui's messages tend not to stray too far from the average TMI update. Normally, you'd find her talking about food and general meals she's had throughout the day. Sometimes if you're lucky, Tzuyu may feel a little playful and give a spoiler for an upcoming fan meet or a concert stop. Tzui's bubble is honestly really fun. You're for sure gonna get a lot of pictures of her, her dogs, and food in general. Tzui's pretty interactive with Once in Bubble, very close to the lines of Jihyo and Sana's. She uses bubble more frequently than Jihyo and Mina, but you could expect a similar messaging style like Chaeyoung's and Momo's. You're gonna see a lot more pictures and TMI updates, but beyond that, not too much else. That doesn't mean she isn't authentic though, because there's still those moments where Tzuyu sends deeper, more gratitude-driven messages like after Twice fan meets and concerts. And with that, it is time for the final results. Fellow Onces, I present to you! Okay, I know that all of the reds and zeros aren't as sexy when they're laid out like this, but this is the reality of Twice's bubble. Twice has sent a total of 922 messages in the entirety of October 2023. Going in order from lowest count to highest by member, Mina is 9th place with 29 messages, Chaeyoung is 8th with 48 messages, Momo is 7th with 59, Jeongyeon is 6th with 80, Sana is 5th with 86, Jihyo is 4th with 88, Tzuyu is 3rd with also 88 but with a slightly better attendance record, Nayeon is 2nd with 158, and Dahyun is 1st place with 286. In terms of absences from the 31-day bubble challenge, from least to most, Dahyun with 3, Nayeon with 17, Tzuyu with 20, Momo with 22, Jihyo with 23, Jeongyeon, Sana, and Chaeyoung with 25, and Mina with 27. So the clear winner of Twice's bubble challenge, Dahyun. She's 1st place in bubble message count. She's the most consistent bubble user. She utilizes Bubble Live regularly and gives you your subscription's worth. She keeps onces entertained with her signature Dahyun shenanigans, and you will always feel Dahyun's personality, sometimes for better or for worse, through each message or streetlight post video she sends. Dahyun's bubble gets the S-Class 5-star honor from me. Her bubble is the only one from Twice where I can personally recommend to all K-pop stans regardless of their Twice bias. If you're looking for someone who's consistent, entertaining, active, and brimming with online presence and personality, Dahyun is the go-to Twice member. Her bubble is also a fantastic introduction to the platform, but to bring it a step further, she can also show how hectic Bubble could be with her 1 to 114 message range. But this won't even be an issue for scaring newcomers because she messages more like daily little sprinkles here and there rather than opening up the floodgates. Now normally I would say just subscribe to your bias. I don't know if I could do that here specifically with Mina, Chaeyoung, and Momo's bubbles. Starting with the ones I can recommend for certain niches for bubble subscribers, if you're a foodie, subscribe to Sana, Tzuyu, and Momo. If you're a pet lover, subscribe to Tzuyu or Jeongyeon. If your bottom line is message frequency, consistency, and getting your $3.99 per month worth, subscribe to Dahyun or Nayeon. If you want middle of the road, mid-range, not too much, not too little, but personality still shines through, get Sana, Tzuyu, Jihyo, or Nayeon. The only 2 bubbles I'm struggling to recommend are Mina and Chaeyoung for reasons you guys already know. For these 2, they just generally don't use Bubble. I don't blame them though, not to bring up past events at all, but everything considered they've been through, I would not hold it against them if they just don't like using Bubble. If you want to subscribe to them regardless though, I'm not holding you back. However, the silence from both of their bubbles are deafening sometimes, so you may just want to consider that. Twice shares a very different relationship with Bubble than groups like NMIXX does. They're already well established, super successful, and live super hectic lives outside of being a K-pop idol. They may not have time for Bubble or choose not to use it in their free time, or they may just straight up reject services like Bubble for reasons we may never know. The point is, we should just be grateful that Twice even has bubbles in the first place because not all K-pop groups have this luxury. There's more than one way to use Bubble, and Bubble is more than just K-pop idols spamming the fans' notifications. It's a platform that gives fandoms a chance to learn more about the idols that they love and giving them the small chance of interacting with them directly. And at the very least, giving us that little extra Delulu fuel that we all need in our lives. Hope this video helps you all decide which Twice member's bubble is right for you. Let me know in the comments which group you guys want to see me cover next in the Bubble series. With that everyone, that's my time. My name is Nathan, SYJofficial, and until then, see you guys next time. Bye!